is Joy News Prime.
Right, tonight on Joy News Prime, the governing NDC's 2016 manifesto, promising, among others, one student, one tablet, subjected to scrutiny after President Mahama presented highlights of the document on Tuesday. The opposition MPP, however, said several of the ideas contained in the governing party's manifesto were stolen from them. Several parties and individuals, meanwhile, have picked up nomination forms to contest the 2016 elections. Amongst the interested candidates is President Mahama and the founder of the Freedom Party, Ikiadonko.
And ahead in business, latest figures released by the Ghana Statistical Service show general price levels for the month of August went up marginally, increasing inflation to 16.9%.
And a statue of the late Indian leader Mahatma Gandhi on the University of Ghana campus is giving some students and lecturers grief. My name is Israel Olai, and the 2016 election, which is 83 days, 11 hours and some 59 minutes away, is best followed at your election headquarters here at Multimedia and its affiliates. Joy News Prime is also available across Europe on ABN Television and DSTV and GoTV station. In our very first story, the opposition New Patriotic Party has been responding to the governing NDC's manifesto highlights delivered by President John Dramani Mahama on Tuesday, insisting a number of the policies were first highlighted by them. They referred to President Mahama's promise to look into the possibility of creating 5 more regions and the factory establishment policy, among others. Let's first hear what exactly the president had to say on Tuesday.
We will set up a commission of inquiry to look into the creation of new regions. We currently have 10 regions. We believe that it is possible to increase the number of regions to 15. And so we'll set up a commission of inquiry that will look at the viability of increasing the number of administrative regions in Ghana from 10 to 15. And so this commission will receive petitions, and based on those petitions, they will look at whether creation of those regions is a viable option or not. And based on that recommendation, we will trigger the constitutional processes on all the Kwame Nkrumah era factories and we'll check on their viability. Those that are viable, we will partner with the private sector to bring them back on stream. And one of those that we have identified is the Abosso Glass Factory. We have received interest to revive the Abosso Glass Factory because every piece of glass we use in Ghana is imported. Our window panes, our louver blades, our bottles, beer bottles, Guinness bottles, mineral bottles, they are all imported. And yet we can manufacture some of those things here. And so factories like the Abosso Glass Factory and others are going to be looked at and would be available for revamping. Construction of more irrigation facilities to irrigate up to 5,000 hectares of land in the Savannah Belt. And the SADA has conducted feasibility studies, one on the Nasia Nabogo irrigation project. And under this project, 10,000 hectares of land will come under irrigation. Under the Bui Dam has a component for irrigation, which covers another 11,000 hectares of land. And then under the Sicily Coupon and Dhaka Valley irrigation projects, there's another 30,000 hectares of land that we can bring under irrigation. If all these are achieved, it will provide employment, to all the young people in the Savannah zone. And apart from that, it will produce enough food to feed this country in terms of rice, maize, and all the cereals.
That was President Mahama presenting highlights of the NDC's manifesto. But the MPP is claiming ownership of a number of the policies. Addressing a news conference, Director of Communications Nana Kumia cited the free SHS policy captured in the party's 2012 manifesto, which was subsequently implemented by the NDC, as well as the recent proposal to create additional regions as instances where the governing party had plagiarized the ideas.
In the day school, the 405, you are paying only 180. So what you are doing is just a subsidy. And yet you say it's free. And yet you said free is not good. And that, now you say free is good. Now you're free too, nobody understands it. It's a very difficult situation. Then they said a leap, for example. Mahama said it was bad. It was a very, very unwise policy. That it was just handouts. It wasn't good to alleviate poverty. And then today, he tells us that LEAP is the best social development program of his government. Youth unemployment, they thought that it was bad, that it wasn't sustainable. It was a lazy way of creating jobs for young people. Then they came, they turned it into JIDA, and proceeded to take $100 million of taxpayers' money. So as for the copying, right through. Even now, we said we'll do one district, one factory. They said it cannot be done. We don't have the money. And when we show them we can do it, now they say they have plans of doing it. They have plans of also doing factory. Which government would scoff at the idea of doing factories? In Kwame Nkrumah's time, when we didn't have interchange at Circle, we had over 200 factories. Started it. We said we'll create a region for the northern part of the West. Cannot be done. What is he talking about? He's just saying something.
We are going to divide the people.
Yes. So we are going to divide the people and all of that. Isn't that what he said? Now he says you do 5.
Well, Nana Kumia also referred to numerous unfulfilled promises in the NDC's 2012 manifesto. He says is good enough reason for Ghanaians not to vote for President Mahama.
Challengers in a political contest can make promises. And we have to look at the fulfillment of those promises based on their own personal records. The personal record or their public record, what they've achieved, and so on. And give them the benefit of the doubt, or to judge the promises they make. With an incumbent, when you are incumbent and you make promises, we have to look at your record, because you've had a chance to be in the position to deliver on your promises, isn't it? He said he will stimulate growth in agriculture and industry with a view to generating jobs. He will stimulate growth in agriculture and industry. Today, our growth rate is about 2% or 2.5. When we have achieved agri growth rates in excess of 7%, and you say you are now coming to stimulate it. So when it was 7%, you are going to stimulate. It should go to 10%. Today, as we speak, it's just about 2.53% in agriculture. And the same for industry. As for industries, they are just the CD, doom saw, they just dying. Even services, hotels, everything is collapsing. He also said he will accelerate infrastructure development. As for infrastructure, they are quite quick to point to you some projects they are doing. They will tell you they've brought a brochure to Ghana because of the Kwame Nkrumah interchange. They also said they've Kaswa interchange, the expansion of the Ridge Hospital, and so on and so forth. But you see, what is the impact? When we didn't have all of this infrastructure that we are being told about, our economy was growing at 9.1%. We're growing at 9.1% in 2008. Was growing at over 14% in 2011.
Well, Madam Joyce Bawa-Mokhtari, who is the spokesperson for the NDC's campaign team, is here in the studio to react to respond to a number of the issues that the MPP has raised today. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Israel.
And welcome to Joy News Prime.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's go straight on with some of the issues that the MPP has been raising today. Essentially, they are saying that you've plagiarized some of the their policies, because they highlighted them first, and they talk about what they plan to do with irrigation, what they plan to do with the factories, and they also refer to the 2012 when they were talking about free SHS, and you've picked it up and run with it.
Well, Israel, I think that watching the press conference, I actually found it quite interesting.
All right. Which aspects?
Almost all of the aspects. In fact, they're using a word called plagiarizing. Please, I don't recall the MPP producing a manifesto, let alone for people to pick up and plagiarize.
Okay, but they highlighted some of these issues
well,
that
I have not heard, and indeed, I would say...
Oh, you haven't heard?
I have not. And
Oh,
I would
really?
say one thing. You do know that in recent times, manifestos have actually occupied the public space in terms of our debates, in terms of our discourse. What has emerged is that our 2012 manifesto was actually adjudged by most of civil society organizations as the most realistic.
All right.
President Mahama is the first to even admit in places where there have been challenges. Don't forget that the mark of a good leader is not to complain, but to do something about situations that you find yourselves.
What we're looking at today, the issue we're faced with right now, so the MPP is saying that they have highlighted some issues that you have latched onto and made them the main planks of your manifesto.
I'm sure yesterday when President Mahama presented our manifesto highlights for 2016, he touched on our achievements. He touched on areas that required improvement. He touched on enhancing some of the interventions that we've always had. Indeed, you do know that we started this whole business about improving upon access to education, improving upon access to quality education, removing schools under trees. Above all, engaging teachers, training them and upgrading them. We started a maths and science project. Listen here, politics is an old school game. Whoever is the most agile will win the day.
All right. So you're feeling that by that, are you suggesting that you're the most agile? You're the ones to have documented the manifesto issues, and so
we have a great leader who knows the length and breadth of this country better than most people who speak to this country.
But
indeed, yesterday the manifesto highlights touched on all facets of our manifesto. Don't forget, in 2012 we had a manifesto that had 4 thematic areas, and we have maintained the same themes. So how then are we going to plagiarize somebody's ideas?
All right, but granted, I mean, all that you've said, the MPP still says that, yes, we talked about we raised some of the issues. Which issues
were they issues that were raised that we had never touched on before?
Been included in the manifesto, the manifesto of the NDC.
I totally disagree, because as I indicated, we have an outline. We are already in government. We are administering and implementing policies under our existing manifesto. This is a continuation for President Mahama to make a case for his second and final term in office. Why do we always have an opposition that will not present alternatives?
Let's pick one issue.
That refuses to elevate the discourse.
Let's pick one issue which has to do with the creation of carving out of a new region out of the Western region, which the MPP mentioned, and they were essentially vilified, including the NDC. Members of the NDC thought that, I mean, why would the MPP think of a thing like that? But now the president is saying that they're considering the possibility of creating 5 more regions.
The president mentioned that there was a clamor. There have been requests for new districts, for new regions to be carved out. He believed from his experience that Ghana could actually develop into 15 regions.
So 5 more regions.
Remember that the National Democratic Congress created the Upper West region out of the then Northern region.
So I'm saying
this is not a new invention.
That's fine. But I'm saying that
Secondly,
when the
you are missing a
NPP
point.
came
And
up with
I
it
am
initially...
sure the next point is that President Mahama explained that a commission of inquiry will be set up to receive petitions
so you're
from
looking
citizens
into the possibility of creating 5 more regions.
Every government will continue to look into possibilities of creating additional districts, elevating districts to municipalities, and of course creating new districts. These are all dependent on the population, on numbers, on your economic indicators, name it.
What did the NDC, I'd like you to repeat some of the things the NDC people said, or people within the NDC had to say about the criticisms they leveled against the NPP when they came up with this idea of carving out a new region.
I recall it was when we were in the Western region particularly, that they claimed they were going to carve out a Northern Western region.
Yeah.
That is not the same thing as what President Mahama is saying. President Mahama is not limiting it to a region that has incomes.
But they're creating a new region.
Absolutely not. He said it will be a subject matter that will be put back to the citizens. This is a constitutional provision. And as demographics change, we can intervene and do these things.
Okay. So the flag bearer of the NPP believes that the Western region should be carved out. The NDC, the flag bearer, the president, also believes that we could have 5 more regions. How different are these two?
Totally different. I don't recall the president talking about the fact that cocoa producing areas should have a region of their own so that they can develop. I don't recall the president saying that we need to do roads and focus on this part, so let's carve out a region, so we do it. The president has a systematic way of it. Remember, that's a 3-term MP, an assemblyman, a man who's been vice president and today is president, and is the same National Democratic Congress. Amazing that great things happen in Ghana whenever we're in power. Actually carved out the Upper West region from the then Northern region. So this is not a new invention. And I will tell you one thing, that I would expect the opponents to bring up realistic things that we can discuss. But I don't see the reason whenever the National Democratic Congress come, in any case, they are unwilling even to launch their manifesto.
Right, let's move on to something. It looks like I'm not going to win with a region.
Certainly not.
So let's move on to something else. Let's look at the creation of the factories. The president is also looking at creating a lot more factories, going back to look at the factories that Kwame Nkrumah, former first president, looked at and trying to revive some of those factories. Is it so different from what the NPP is looking at? They're also looking at one factory in one district.
Israel, are you benchmarking on just about everything the NPP says?
Well,
or asking you what
so
our candidate, our president, and our flag bearer
we have heard what your candidate, your flag bearer, and the president says he wishes to do.
And I'm sure you've also heard from what our opponents want to say. But I think tonight should be about what my president wants to tell the people of Ghana. And I will be focusing
the whole of last night, we didn't have a bulletin. We devoted it to the president.
And you should continue.
Oh no, we've heard what the president has had to say. But I'm saying that let's look at the issues that the NPP is raising. They're saying essentially that they've come up with some ideas, the president has latched onto them, one of them being this issue of the factories.
Israel, President Mahama, since 2012, has worked assiduously to revamp and rehabilitate most of the SWAL factories. The Commander Sugar Factory, the Kumasi Shoe Factory, the recent factories here in Accra. Yesterday he mentioned the Abosso Glass Factory, that there's been some expression of interest. President Mahama has mentioned revamping several, even in the central region, the fishing harbour and all of these things, and of course the fishing processing factories. Are we saying that all of these things are things that were already in a certain pseudo phantom manifesto that our opponents claim to have in their possession? In any case, when President Mahama went on that frolic, as they want to call it, to revamp all these existing industries, where were they? President Mahama is focused on delivering an industrialized Ghana.
You earlier talked about the NDC having one of the most realistic manifestos. But we look back at some of the things that you promised to do. We take the Community Day, SHS 200 that you were talking about. We're ending up having probably just about 11. You keep on saying that about 123 are at various stages of completion. It's one promise that you can't say that has been fulfilled. That's one of them. There's a new one which has to do with what seems to be a one tablet per child policy, which has come under severe criticism because people are saying that it's very unrealistic because we're looking at electricity that will be needed to keep these tablets functioning and several other things. We're talking about internet penetration. How are we able to do that, especially in some areas when we're yet to deal with the problem of, finish dealing with the problem of schools under trees?
Well, certainly you do know that one of our major campaign promises contained in our manifesto in 2012 was the development or building of 200 community-day senior high schools. Presently, we have 30 that are ready, and 11 of them are being used.
11 have been commissioned.
Absolutely.
30 are ready.
We also have 123 at different stages of completion.
The 123, I'd want to believe, are they different from the 30 and 10 that you're talking about?
All inclusive. So when you put them together, we're very close to achieving that target. And don't forget that we are in a country which is an emerging developing country, that we have several competing interests for our budgets, that the ambitions of any individual should be a focus for us.
Are you saying
all.
you were not aware of all of that when you made the promise?
I am telling
initially?
you that that promise is very realistic, that if we didn't have so many competing interests, that promise would have been
those competing interests have always been there.
And I'm sure if you've been to any of those schools, I don't know what kind of school you went to, but if I had access to one of these schools today, I'm sure I'd probably be a much better adult than I am.
How realistic is this promise or this policy to have?
It is still very realistic, and as I indicated earlier, you heard the debates, that was a very realistic ambition. I'm
actually moving away from the SHS to the one tablet per child policy.
Same.
How realistic is that?
Same.
What are the timelines?
You should ask yourself how many children we have. We started the school uniform per child policy. We are implementing it. We started the school shoes for children policy. We are implementing it.
What are the timelines?
In terms of timelines, it is going to start immediately next academic year. And I believe President Mahama mentioned it. And don't forget that these are things that go on as we go along. We even are establishing industries here, factories that produce these tablets. Some of them are locally made. In fact, this morning I had an interesting discussion
like
with
RLG?
Someone who actually told me that they even have ways of having these things work on solar and what have you. There are so many interventions. Several African countries are doing these things.
I'm imagining a village school which is under a tree.
Yep.
And they're holding
a tablet. But what is the reason why we are building all
It's
these
going to be
schools?
ruined if it rains.
We are building the schools so we remove these rural schools and the trees.
So why don't we finish building the schools before we go to the tablets?
It is simultaneous. Why do one after the other?
Where are we going to get
funding?
funding?
Have you visited any of these schools? Have you been to any of these community-day senior high schools?
Oh, no.
I think you should make time. See the sort of facilities they have. The toilet facilities, the running water, the computer laboratories.
Those are the schools that would have these facilities, but there wouldn't be
institutions that are willing to intervene. Don't forget that Ghana is one country that has benefited largely from a lot of mission schools.
So we
continue to improve upon
we're
access,
hoping,
always
counting on the benevolence.
And you have a president who knows this country very well and knows what is good for us all. Let's look at that closely.
All right. I think we'd have to end it here, but it's been great having you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Joyce Bar Mokhtari is the campaign manager of the John Mahama campaign.
National Democratic Congress spokesperson for 2016.
The spokesperson for the campaign, actually. Right. Thank you very much. And we'll have more politics coming away after this break. Welcome back to Joy News Prime, and now back to some more politics. There's been quite a show of interest in the nomination forms for presidency in this year's election, with as many as 12 persons picking up the forms in the 2 days that the Electoral Commission opened nomination. Notable amongst those who picked up forms on Wednesday include the governing NDC's flag bearer, President John Mahama, whose form was picked on his behalf by the Deputy General Secretary of the party, Kokwanyido. Founder and leader of the Ghana Freedom Party, Kwadonko, has also picked a nomination form. Joining us is Joseph Akabale has more in the following report.
With the increase in filing fee for presidential candidates from 5,000 cedis in 2012 to 50,000 this year, Almost all the political parties and some independent presidential candidates complain that it will hinder their ambitions. But that is not the case. By close of Wednesday, 12 presidential hopefuls have picked nomination forms at the Electoral Commission's headquarters to contest the polls. 9 of the hopefuls are vying on the ticket of political parties, while the 3 others are independent candidates. Deputy Director of Electoral Service at the EC, Daniel Amewu, confirmed the number to Joy News.
The leader is Kofi Apalo. Then we have United Front Party, led by Nana Sambat Jataba. The popular name is Jataba. Nana Ejenim Boatin. We have Ghana Freedom Party, led by Ekwadonko. We have United Progressive Party, led by Akwesi Ade, alias Odike. Then we have the All People's Congress, led by Ayariga. We have Great Consolidated Popular Party, led by Dr. Lati. Then we have United Development System Party, led by 1W Tete. Then we have National Democratic Congress, led by President Mahama. So that's for the political parties. For the independent candidates, we have one Lawrence Jamil Nkutia. Then we have another who is Kwame Asiedu Walker. Then the last one so far is Joy, or maybe Joseph Oseyebua. He has also picked nomination forms.
So 12 candidates.
12 candidates are picked so far. 9 political parties and then 3 independent. Once your forms are rejected, we can take the filing fee.
President John Dramani Mahama, who doubles as the flag bearer of the NDC, picked his form on Wednesday. NDC Deputy General Secretary Koko Anyido, who picked the form on behalf of the president, said the NDC is ready for the polls.
We are very much so, very, very ready. That's why ever since the Electoral Commission put out its calendar, we have stuck to it, and we continue to work according to that register. I mean, some people think that it is their business to go out berating the Electoral Commission and not preparing adequately. We are very much prepared. So yes, the President gave highlights of the manifesto yesterday. Today I'm here as Deputy General Secretary to pick up the nomination forms for the President. Saturday we are in Sunyani to do the bigger outdooring of our manifesto. So a team will move around the region, make sure that we get all the endorsements that we need. And I'm sure at the appropriate time we shall present the presidential nomination forms back to the EC. And then we just pray for a peaceful election and pray that Ghana continues to remain united after the elections.
Well, it turns out a few more have picked up nomination forms since we spoke to the EC earlier this afternoon. The forms are scheduled to be submitted on September 29 and 30 or 29th and 30th of September. Now, the presidential candidate of the People's National Convention has accused President Mahama of woefully failing Ghanaians, for which reason he must be shown the exits in the December elections. Dr. Edward Mahama is convinced the sitting president does not deserve another chance and urged Ghanaians to stop voting for presidential candidates who spew untruths and half-truths just to woo them into voting for them only to win elections and serve their selfish interests. Dr. Mahama made these known when he adored his running mate, Emmanuel Anyidoho, in Accra on Wednesday.
I'm describing the transformation that I have seen. Because we are churning out about 50,000 graduates from our tertiary institutions. 5,000 are get employment. The 45,000 have been transformed from being students to poor, unemployed young people. That is the transformation that I see. He should be asked to account for the first mandate from 2012. We still have schools under trees. We have massive unemployment. We have borrowed so much money. There are many areas where the president should be held to account to the people of Ghana. And in our book, in our view, the NDC has failed the people of Ghana. And that is why we are offering ourselves as the credible alternative to take over. Yes.
Threatened by some of these promises that are already being made on the campaign trail?
No, I don't feel threatened because Ghanaians can see through. They have been promised before and it didn't come through. How many times did we not end Dumso? How many times were we not promised? Even now, Dumso is there. Last night, the power went off where I am.
That's the fifth time you are contesting, and your party still appears to be in the minority. Well, what different thing are you bringing on board this time to make us take you as the alternative?
The new force. I have said 18 to 35-year-olds who are out there. Look 10, 20 years down the line in your own life. And if all you see is increased transportation costs, if all you see is increased light bill, if all you see is difficulty paying your rent when you have hired a room, then your choice is Edward Mahama and the new force.
In your description of your running mate, you made mention something interesting, that he's as humble as Jesus Christ. Why do you say that?
Because leadership in Africa tends to be very arrogant. They'll ask you, do you know whom you are talking to? That is not the kind of leader we want. We want a leader as humble as Christ. I'm going to be the next president of Ghana, and I'm telling you that I will bring about so much transformation in the public sector, civil sector, in the Ghanaian electorate. Why are you putting if I fail? I'm not going to fail.
Now, according to the party, the choice of Emmanuel Nyidoho, a former lecturer at the University of Ghana, as running mate was hugely influenced by his humility, grasp of the Ghanaian situation, and his exemplary and visionary leadership. The Harvard-trained economist says he has what it takes to turn around Ghana's fortunes. He outlined 3 thematic areas he will be focusing on.
The new Ghana is visioned on the 3 pillars of a new beginning, new deal, and new force. These 3 pillars are enshrined in our party's manifesto. A new beginning is towards public sector reform with uncompromised efficiency. A new deal is to provide substantial support to upscale productivity in key sectors such as agriculture and industry and the services, while the new force is to harness the great untapped potential of our energetic youth of between 18 and 35 years to drive the wheels of national development. And in so doing, reducing unemployment considerably. Our great party and its able technocrats, such as myself, will provide the technical knowledge to optimally drive the mechanism that powers these 3 pillars. Mr. Chairman, underpinning the above efforts is the ultimate institution of macroeconomic stability, which has eluded past governments since Kwame Nkrumah and Dr. Hilary Liman.
Yes.
The bedrock of this is the need for fiscal discipline through the curtailing of extravagantly heavy expenditures.
Also, a presidential candidate of the United Progressive Party, Akwesi Adayodike, says Ghanaians must decide once and for all to disregard the governing NDC and the main opposition MPP in the upcoming elections and give his party a chance, as they have a lot to offer. Mr. Adai, however, maintains he is not in the presidential race to make promises he cannot keep. The UPP flag bearer was on the pause earlier to outline his party's vision.
Ghanaians are looking up to somebody who will fix the economy. The economy is the deepest cravings for every Ghanaian. That has been their number one priority.
Their deepest what?
Cravings.
What does that mean?
What they are expecting, what they need is how the economy will be well so that everybody will be happy.
Okay.
So our economy is in a mess. And Ghanaians are looking up to somebody, first and foremost. Private sector is the engine for the growth of every economy. And there are certain micro indicators that must prevail in order to make private sector take its core mandate, core function. First is to fix a consistent lending rate. It's very important. We are placing more emphasis on technical and vocational education. Practicals is very important. There's a saying that he who feels it knows it. A lot of our people, they are in the JHS. They haven't even feel a tool, which it is in the textbook. We are going to build a community workshop stuffed with all the tools and science equipment, and it will be a shared facility for every district, and a bus will be provided to bring the people to and from their various.
So you are now promising one district, one community workshop?
Precisely. It's very important. Over the years, successive government hasn't taken agricultural activities seriously. Irrigation facilities, as I'm speaking to you now, is of prime concern of people in agri sector. We are going to construct boreholes in those farms.
What kind of boreholes?
Boreholes which we draw underground water.
You're still here watching Joy News Prime on your election headquarters. In other news, there's unfolding drama at the University of Ghana over the statue of former Indian leader Mahatma Gandhi sited on the campus. A group of lecturers and students have petitioned the University Council to pull down the statue because they say the Indian statesman was racist and does not deserve that honor from the institution. The petitioners, led by law lecturer Dr. Prime14 Etuahene, refer to countless quotes attributed to the late Gandhi. They say show that he's not exactly the noble figure he's made to appear. Derek Sam has more.
The statue behind me is that of Mahatma Gandhi. It was erected here at the University of Ghana in June, and it's already generating a lot of controversy. Some members of the university community want the statue pulled down. There's actually a petition online asking that this statue be pulled down. I want to speak to one of the petitioners, Dr. Prime14 Etuahene. He's a law lecturer here at the University of Ghana. He will tell us why he and his cohorts think that this should be pulled down. Doc, it's a very nice statue, you admit?
Indeed it is, yes. But we think that there's a problem with the statute in the sense that Gandhi has a racist past. And in a situation or an environment where we champion the cause of equality, racial equality, I don't think that this statute has a place here.
There are others who think that, in as much as you think that he had a racist past, he was still somebody who actually had love for humanity.
Indeed he had, and his civil disobedience strategies is well recognized. In fact, it was even adopted by Martin Luther King and others. So in that respect, he has his name. But the racist past is what we think it should be exposed for the world to know.
We'll go over and speak to the university to see what their response to this petition is like, and will they bow down to the pressure from the petitioners?
It is customary for the President of India, when he goes on state visit, to donate gifts. And in this case, the President of India was going to donate a gift of the statue of Mahatma Gandhi to the university. And the university accepted. It was given to the university as a gift. And it was erected on the University of Ghana campus It was accepted by management of the university, and it was erected on the University of Ghana campus.
So the petitioners are saying that you, as a university, the leadership did not consult the University Council before the statue was mounted. Is it true?
Well, if you put me to ask that University Council was not contacted before the statue was erected, I do not know whether every thing that goes on in the university, we have principal officers, we have the chancellor, the chairman of council, and the vice chancellor.
I was speaking to some of the petitioners. They say that the email they received from the former Vice Chancellor, Professor Nesaite, suggests that it was more of a unilateral decision.
Oh, I do not think so. I have seen that email, and I do not think that it is, we would say, it is a unilateral decision.
You've heard from the petitioners, you've also heard from the university. The petitioners say they
Time now for a quick look at our top stories on Joy News Prime. The governing NDC's 2016 manifesto, promising among others one student, one tablet, has been subjected to scrutiny after President Mahama presented highlights of the document on Tuesday. The opposition MPP says several of the ideas contained in the governing party's manifesto were stolen from them, but this has been denied by the campaign. Several parties and individuals have picked up nomination forms to contest the 2016 elections. In business, latest figures released by the Ghana Statistical Service show general price levels for the month of August went up marginally, increasing inflation to 16.9%. And a statue of the late Indian leader Mahatma Gandhi on the University of Ghana campus is giving some students and lecturers grief. In other news, the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, has withheld the results of candidates from 321 schools who sat for this year's Basic Education Certificate Examination, BECE. The results were withheld as a result of alleged examination malpractices, and they will only be released after investigations are concluded. A statement signed by Agnes Kujo said following the conclusion of investigations into cases of examination malpractice detected during the conduct of the examination, 188 candidates had their subject results cancelled, while 22 others had their entire results cancelled for bringing mobile phones to the examination hall and receiving external assistance. A total of 460,930 candidates made up of 239,898 males and 221,031 females sat for the examination. This figure is 5.25% higher than that of the previous year. The candidates were from a total of 14,267 schools, and the examination was administered at 1,598 centers. The statement said out of those who initially registered for the examination, 3,281, representing 0.7% of candidates, were absent. The council revealed that with the help of item differential profile IDP software, candidates from 1,025 schools who were identified to have cheated had their relevant subject results cancelled. The Ghana Chamber of Pharmacy has expressed worry over the nationwide strike by members of the Government and Hospital Pharmacists Association. In a statement signed by its chief executive, Anthony Ameka, the Chamber of Pharmacy said the breakdown in negotiations between the parties is most unfortunate, especially at the time when the services of one of the most critical and essential service providers, the pharmacist, is needed to advance national health goals. The senior executives and representatives of the Ghana Concerned Drivers Association has announced a nationwide strike to begin on Monday, September 19. According to the association, the decision stems from government's decision to introduce the Bus Rapid Transit Service (BRTS), an action that will eject them from their terminals. Speaking to Joy News, the public relations officer for the association, Francis Appiah, said they consider government's decision unfavorable and unfair business practice.
We are going on strike this Monday coming. That's 19th September, and the reason why we are doing we are going on the sit-down strike is they are bringing government want to introduce BRT rapid bus system, and the rapid bus system where the the bus or pass we drivers we won't pass there. The is like a Kwasu train. On the traffic so where the trotro or pass the bus or pass and we won't pass there. If the bus reach traffic light under, she will go. Then we won't follow the bus. And the Kwame Nkrumah circle, they will move the drivers are there from the Carnation station there to Achimota new station, then Brasport. All of them will go to Achimota new station, and they will create another station for the new station there, where it will block the drivers for there. And the bus stop, old bus stop we have already, they will create that old bus stop for the BRT rapid bus system, where it will collapse our job. Tema Station Accra. They will move drivers from there to Achimota, to House of Folk Park, and House of Folk Park there's a court building is there. You can't shout and do Accra, Teshinungwa. So you keep quiet for there like a mumum. Then you can't shadow. You can't shadow. Then. Yes, you can't shadow that like you be there. You won't talk. You can't.
What is the meaning of you can't shadow?
Like you can't shadow like Accra, Teshinungwa.
You say you want to demonstrate?
Yes, we will strike. We will go on strike nationwide.
And how many days are you going to go on strike?
Just one day, hot one. No movement of car and 37 station. There to they will move the drivers from there to this place to Kaokudi Park and see where Kaokudi Park is. The time the person will walk out to Kaokudi Park, then the person Sasabro has no Sasabraba. So the person won't come. Then the person will come and stand at the bus stop there and take the BRT, and it will collapse our job.
We have entertainment coming up next.